Hi, welcome back. It's been a while since I kicked out a video. Winter time here in Oregon. But what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to touch on something. Some of you may or may not know that this last season I picked up an Oru Kayak, the Oru Inlet, with the intention that possibly I can get to some lakes that I haven't been able to get to before with my normal craft, the Big Fish 105. That's the one I normally do all my video filming off of and stuff. And I've spoken nothing but raves about that. In conjunction with that, I plan on using this Oru Inlet, lightweight foldable package I can backpack in. The problem then is, how do I carry my camera gear as far as deploy it? So what I've done is I've come up with my own tentative version of a camera system for a folding kayak. And this is what I came up with. So it's kind of wild looking, but let me explain. So these two angles with these clamps right here, I'll move these up a little bit. So these clamps right here, these will hook onto the gunnels of the Oru, and it fits wonderful. I made this aluminum bracket out of some stock aluminum and added these clamps. And so what you do is when you unfold the Oru, when you unfold that, you clamp, they kind of rest in the gunnels on each side, right in front of me. And then you tighten these down on those rigid gunnels. And that secures this in place. Once you've done that, this leash right here is a safety. This attaches to the kayak. And so that way, should the kayak flip, or for some odd reason, who knows, this whole system falls off with my cameras on it, it's attached to the kayak regardless. And that's stainless steel coated wire with a nice screw mounted system on the bottom. And so let me kind of go through what I did real quick. So this rig right here is one of my underwater camera rigs, and I can deploy this sitting in the seat. So if I'm sitting in there, this sits in front of me like this. And then I can deploy my camera rig on this, and I can extend this unit out, swivel it however I want. If I decide I want to go on the right side of the kayak, this quick disconnect Scotty mount then moves to this side, and I can go to the right side very simply. The other thing the Orus don't have is, at least the inlets and stuff, they don't have anywhere for you to stow your paddle. So for me, having to work camera gear and stuff and having somewhere to put my paddle is kind of important. And so Yak Attack makes this mount that is designed to go on your rail system on a normal kayak. And so what I did is I drilled a hole in this and I mounted it to this. So when I mount this onto the kayak, these roll locks that come on this mount, you just take your paddle and it locks into these. This whole system can mount this way, or it can mount this way so that the paddle's directly in front of me. Either way, this system is ambidextrous. There is no right or left to it. Right here is another camera mount. This is normally used for guitars. It's got a screw on the bottom. It's completely rotatable and adjustable. So I can use this to face forward. I can angle it and turn it out however I wish to deploy it. Also as well, should I choose to, there's one of those clip mounts that we've all seen for GoPros. Okay, these can clip on here as well. They can also clip onto the kayak. The problem with some of these is that if it's clipped on the kayak and it goes over, theoretically these could come off. So they are not technically secured from loss. But that's something to consider. You know, you got to watch your stuff. But anyway, so this mount I believe is going to serve me well. The other thing I noted when I put the kayak all together and I secured this in and locked these down to the gunnels, the other thing I noted is that while the Oru is surprisingly secure and stable and much more solid than you might think it's going to be, the gunnel flexing, the slight amount of flexing you get, this actually tied in that pretty good. So not that it's necessary, but I did note that. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, so this is going to be my camera rig that I will be using on the Oru this upcoming season, whenever I take that one out. And then I also have a couple other aluminum metal mounts that I will be using that also clamp onto the kayak in various places with safety leashes. I do recommend safety leashes of some sort with pretty much any of your gear, especially if you're dealing with expensive camera gear, let's face it, some of these cameras, including GoPros, like the one I'm filming on right now, they're not exactly cheap to replace. So you can buy a roll of this braided stainless steel with the coating on it for very inexpensive online, and the crimp ends. I can get one in here. Those little crimp ends, you just loop it through and crimp it the way that you want it to be, however that may be. And this is a simple loop, and I crimp it down. I just put it in a vise and squeezed it. You can put it on something metal and smash it, whatever you want to do. You can do multiple different ways to do it, but again, these little crimps in the cable, very inexpensive, and you can use that spool of cable. It's cheap to buy it by the spool, by the way, to make all kinds of leashes for any of your equipment or gear that just clip on. You can use quick clips like these little spring-loaded ones and things. I've done information on videos about those before, different types of clips and security devices. Anyway, so this is my system for the Oru, and let's hope it works out good. I'm feeling pretty encouraged about it. We'll give it a bash. All right, with that, have a good one.